Well, welcome to Grow Your Greenhouse on this beautiful winter morning. I thought it might be fun to come outside with these great props that we have with the 5 inches of snowfall and make a terracotta candle. I'd like to show you how to do that. It's pretty easy. Basically, you want to get 3 or 4 pots that are progressively smaller and make sure they're terracotta. They absorb heat really well. And then you want to get a bolt that's long enough to go through all them. And then the idea is that you space the pots apart enough with metal spacers. You can use tiny pieces of union couplings. You can use nuts, bolts, whatever, just as long as it spaces, and then snug it up together. You invert it, turn it upside down, then over a candle, which you can see over on the far right. And then you have approximately 24 hours of heat. And a candle with a 3-inch diameter will burn about 24 hours, and it's amazing how much heat that it will put out by warming all the terracotta pots. So it's not critical to have exact sizing. You don't have to worry about your bolts that much, except that your bolt needs to be long enough to go through all the pots and connect them together. And you can even use longer or wider nuts, bigger nuts, and union couplings or whatever spacers that you need to separate the pots. And so I'm going to show you the bolt that I've got. It's got washers, and I used a 5/16 bolt, the diameter of it, and then 5/16 nuts will tighten down. And then I use bigger washers, and then if you buy the next size bigger nut, then you can make spacers with it. So let's look at that. I'll show you how to put this together. So looking at it, you've got your long bolt, and then you've got your washer, and then your first spacer. And I just used a piece of old cast iron water pipe that I had. It's just a little closed nipple that works really good for that. It just allows it to slide in and out. And you have to put your washers between each of the holes, because your hole in your pot is going to be kind of big, and you have to be able to secure that. And then you put your big pot, you put your next smaller size, and then your smallest one here, and then just snug them all up together. So let's go ahead and build this. And I'm going to take it apart like it needs to be. It's so difficult to put back together. So notice how that this nut, it's a 3/8 nut on a 5/16 bolt, so it just slides up and down, so you can make washers with these real easily. And you have to have your first washer on your first pot. You just put it in the bottom, like that. And then you have to put your next washer in. I'm going to put that in, then I'll show you. See how it just goes in just like that. And then you put your big washer over that the coupling I just put on. And then now you can put your next pot on. And as I was building these, one thing I saw is that you want to make sure that the pots don't go below the outside diameter or the bottom of the biggest pot. You don't want it to go below that. Then you take and you put your next washer on, like that. And I only needed to space it one of the 3/8 nuts. And so when you put, now we got to use one more washer. See how you put your washers between, and just take your time, and when you get to that tightening process, one thing you don't want to do is tighten it too tightly. And it's okay if it comes down just a little bit like that. So that's not too bad. You got to have enough of the candle showing lit up on it so that it won't put the candle flame out. And then I need one more nut to put on. I've got to come over here and get a little washer. And then we put our nut on. it doesn't take a lot. And just be careful how you're tightening it down so it doesn't get too tight. And one thing I found, and that's all you have to do. It doesn't have to be beautiful, 100% symmetrical. And see, then what you're going to do is invert it like this, and then it hangs over the candle. And so to hang it properly over the candle now, what we have to do is to have 3 pieces of metal that you can take and make a tripod with.